Huckabee Sanders, former White House press secretary, Arkansas gubernatorial candidate. She wants to be the next governor. Had that job that her dad did. She knows all about how to do it. First things first, you know all about being harassed too, right, Sarah?
Unfortunately, I do. I would like to block out that part of the role I had before this.
But it's back. I mean, now the Supreme Court justices are targeted. When did this start?
You know, I don't think that anything that the left does, we will see them ever condemn. I mean, it is absolutely probably the single most important issue to the left to push for abortion and the killing of innocent unborn children. They will lie, they will lash out, they will leak, and they will try to intimidate our Supreme Court justices, all in this cause. And it is absolutely disgusting what is happening. I pray for the safety of our justices, for their resolve, and that they will continue to push for the defense of the most vulnerable among us. And I'm very hopeful that the leaked draft that we have seen holds true, and that this will be a new day in America where every life has the ability to live in our great country. And it is really tragic and sad to see what is happening across the nation right now.
Well, Sarah, you're right, though. There's a complete unwillingness to condemn these tactics from the podium you used to stand behind. Here's our own Peter Doocy asking Jen Psaki about it yesterday. Watch.
So you guys spent some time yesterday talking about what you think are the extreme wings of the Republican Party. Do you think the progressive activists that are now planning protests outside some of the justices' houses are extreme?
Peaceful protest? No, peaceful protest is not extreme.
These activists posted a map with the home addresses of the Supreme Court justices. Is that the kind of thing this president wants?
The president's view is that there's a lot of passion, a lot of fear, a lot of sadness from many, many people across this country about what they saw in that leaked document. We obviously want people's privacy to be respected. We want people to protest peacefully if they want to protest.
Not extreme, Sarah. Passion.
I mean, it's truly mind-boggling to see the hypocrisy of the left. I mean, I was constantly asked to condemn every action that ever took place anywhere in the country, and yet this White House never seems to step up and do that. And the fact that they are intimidating our Supreme Court justices, attempting to do so, I think the good thing is that we have seen most of these justices through their confirmation process try to be intimidated, and they didn't back down. They stuck to their guns, and I hope they will continue to do that, hold their resolve, and push forward, and that we will see every life in this country protected.
You know, Sarah, you and your dad have been foot soldiers in the pro-life movement, have been huge advocates, and I think it's interesting just to see the contrast. This is how the left behaves. For 50 years, pro-lifers have been, you know, heartbroken, as Jen Psaki says, true sadness, because pro-lifers believe this is the human rights issue of our time. And nobody went to the homes of the Supreme Court justices over this. I mean, there is, you know, it's a pro-life movement. It's a pro-America movement that actually genuinely cares about the institutions that make us a great democracy.
Absolutely, and I think if this leaked document had said something differently, you wouldn't have seen a rush for barricades to be put up and things of that nature, because that's not how our side has engaged in this process over the last 50 years. We have very forcefully and peacefully spoken out about the defense of the defenseless and tried to fight for those who have no one to speak for them. And to see the change and the aggressive nature of the left, I think that is far more heartbreaking than what they're reporting on their side of it.
I mean, look at some of these other incidents, and you see so many Democrats feel it's totally okay to get in the face and get in front of the houses of people who are making decisions or have policies that they don't agree with. And this is in Louisville, Kentucky in 2020. Protesters trying to intimidate Rand Paul. This is Rand Paul. Remember when he was in Washington, D.C.? One of the times in which he was leaving the RNC at the White House.
They tried to intimidate his wife, by the way.
Yeah, Ted Cruz. Here's another example. It was Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz. You've got Kristen Sinema in the bathroom. You've got, Joe Manchin at his boathouse. It's an endless list of political opponents from their view that they are happy to rationalize this intimidation.
Yeah. You know, I was the first White House press secretary in the history of our country to require Secret Service protection because of the credible threats that were made against me and my family even. And the idea that there was never the level of condemnation on those types of attacks from that side, I think tells us everything we need to know, that there is no line too far for them to cross to push their agenda and to push their message. We're seeing the institution of the Supreme Court and the sacredness of that broken in this leak, as well as the actions of those following it to push their agenda. And I think that's what people are waking up to across the country. And frankly, they're not going to take that anymore, and they're standing up. And I think that we will see a huge red wave in November, in large part because some of these actions.
All right, let's talk about somebody who's going to be taking this job for the first time. Goodbye, Jen Psaki. Hello, Karine Jean-Pierre. She'll be the new White House press secretary. Some people are pointing out the fact that it might be a little bit of a problem because her partner happens to be Suzanne Malveaux of CNN. Do you see that as an issue when, Jen Psaki's leaving after like 3 minutes and going to MSNBC? That optics could be better. What about this?
Look, I absolutely loved my job as the White House press secretary for President Trump. It's probably one of the best jobs that I'll ever have. It was hard, but it was a phenomenal experience. But that was partly because I had a really good story to tell. I don't envy Karine at all, because every single thing this administration touches, whether it's the economy, the border, crime, inflation, foreign policy, they destroy it. They don't have a good story to tell. I certainly don't envy the role she's stepping into, and I think that it's going to come with a whole new set of challenges, but I hope that she is met with a much better crowd than I usually got on the daily basis. But I certainly don't envy the job that she has in front of her, and the amount of conflicts that this White House has is pretty staggering, to say the least. And I hope that people like Peter Doocy will continue trying to hold their feet to the fire and at least have one person in there asking tough questions of them.
So, Sarah, for the left, everything is political, even Mother's Day. We know that the left has now called for protests, by the way, of churches on Mother's Day, which is just absolutely insane. But here's a Washington Post headline saying, "All I want for Mother's Day is a vaccine for my kid." I mean, you're a mom. Has that ever crossed your mind as a great Mother's Day gift?
No, I'm usually looking for an extra hour of sleep and nothing of that nature. I'm excited to celebrate this Mother's Day with my 3 kids, hopefully sleeping a little past 6 a.m., the normal wake-up time from a very boisterous group. But it's sad that is the look that people are hoping for in this. I want my kids to be happy and healthy and excited for Mother's Day.
But you also want gifts, right, Sarah?
Absolutely. I love a good homemade card, and so I expect no pressure on my husband, but some really good homemade quality gifts from our 3 kids this year.
Homemade quality.
Very nice. To round this out, this Washington Post column ends by saying, "For Mother's Day, I bleeping want a bleeping vaccine for my bleeping child.
Right.
It's the only thing I want. Also, a bottle of good dry shampoo."
All right, this is from...
So heartwarming. It's
wonderful.
Just lovely.
What about some of the states? What do they want?
Okay, so this is kind of interesting. In your state of Arkansas, they want a meal that they don't have to cook.
Okay.
New Jersey moms and Wisconsin moms have a lot in common. They want a nap. New York moms want a spa treatment. They're a little more upscale, I guess. And in Minnesota, they want help with chores. I'd take all of those, actually. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I support, absolutely. I fully support all of those. Meals I don't have to cook and a little extra sleep sound pretty good.
All right.
All right. If the Huckabee household is listening, you've got marching orders.
She wants to be the next governor of Arkansas. She's on her way to doing that. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, thanks so much. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, Sarah.
That's right. Send the next